Hello, my name is Raymond Karchevsky, and this is coming to you from my home here in Cave Junction, Oregon. Today I should like to speak to you about my book, Journey Beyond Thought, Breaking the Bonds of the Conditioned Mind. It is a simple book, a spiritual primer, if you will, designed for those of you who are truth seekers, who desire to understand yourself and find the reason for your presence here on earth. It is not for everyone, but for those who have the eyes to see and the ears to hear. Now, we are all one. Now, this statement has been made by men of spiritual insight since the beginning of time. All men are equal. All men are brothers. All men share one consciousness, the Christ consciousness. However, some have given up that spiritual estate in return for Satanic-ruled intellect. The intellect rules the civilized world of Mammon, the world of Satan. We live in that world. That is the test that we must undergo here during our stay on earth. Most go from cradle to grave and never really understand what they're here for. Now, in the realm of spirituality, this statement of oneness is only understood by men who have that spiritual insight, and they must communicate that to their fellow men, those who have scales covering their eyes, preventing them from observing the truth as is. So they live in fantasy, fantasy ruled by satanic, dualistic, conditioned thinking. Now, the content of this book, Journey Beyond Thought, Breaking the Bonds of the Conditioned Mind, is an inquiry not into a particular consciousness, but into the consciousness of civilized man per se. Notwithstanding the countless number of anonymous men throughout the ages who spoke this truth, there are two men with whom I share a particular affinity. One was Jesus of Nazareth. Now, I learned of Jesus during my early training in a Catholic elementary education of 8 years. The other man, Jiddu Krishnamurti, an Eastern philosopher, who is not as well known to the Western mind as Jesus, but equally a subject of truth, a simple man of truth, a Christ. The fact is that we are all Christs. We are all sons and daughters of God. But most have sold their souls for the paltry temptation of satanic conditioning. Now, during my early years, growing up in the south side of Chicago, I was surrounded by people who were avowed believers in Jesus and Christ. But somehow that belief never touched their behavior. Their actions did not match their beliefs. Now, I walked the same walk that all men walk in a civilized society. The path of darkness, the path of aloneness, It is this path that we must all walk. Most fall by the wayside. Some make it through the gauntlet that awaits them as they are pummeled from each side for their views, which do not coincide with the acceptable public view. I understood the contradiction of hypocrisy that creates the doubt upon the minds of civilized men. And it came upon me to communicate this if I could, and yet it was a very difficult thing to do. I found that people did not want to listen, did not want to hear, did not want to be disturbed, and that continues to this very day. Now, we can see the direction that our world is taking us, into the satanic-ruled New World Order. There's nothing new about the New World Order. It's the old world order, a new face. It has always been so. For such world is governed by the double-sided coin of tyranny, based in government and religion. Now, government rules by force and fear, through coercive bodies of men, be it armies or police departments, etc. While religions operate more or less with a velvet glove. They operate through mind control. They utilize mysticism, superstition, and belief. Most people are not aware that belief is a lazy man's truth, for all beliefs are fragmented thoughts possessed by the intellect that go untested. Truth stands alone. It does not need to be believed in. It is what is. Now, these two men had a profound influence upon me in my life. As I say, I learned of them. I've learned of Mr. Krishnamurti in my late 30s. And life has never been the same. I finally found one other individual living who saw life as I did. It was a tremendous emotional experience, for I now knew that what I saw had been validated. Now, if you're interested in looking into this book, Journey Beyond Thought, Breaking the Bonds of the Conditioned Mind, may I suggest that you visit my website, arkenterprises.com, and look at the order information, and if you're moved to pick up a copy, either for yourself or for a loved one at this time of the year, then do so by all means. Thank you for your time.